So a while back, I did a video on the government banning gas stoves, and it got a lot of views. In fact, I did a couple videos on this topic because it kept coming up, and there were certain states that made it very clear. Their leadership of these states, these blue states, made it very clear that they were coming after your wood stoves and gas stoves. It wasn't just wood stoves. I've been talking about that for a long time, but now they're upping it to gas stoves, gas ranges, appliances, anything gas. They're coming after it. And remember the media at the time? You had the White House coming because it got mainstream media attention, and all these people were just really upset. So much so that the press secretary for Biden comes out and says, "Oh no, we're not. The Biden administration has no plans to come after your gas stoves. We don't want your gas stoves. No. That's false. That's just the right wing trying to stir up trouble." That's all that is. Those dastardly Republicans are up trying to stir up trouble again. The Biden administration has no idea about any of this, and we don't want your gas stoves. So, all that was put out. And just yesterday, today, it has come out that New York is going to ban all gas appliances. They're proud to say that they will be the first state in the country to ban gas appliances, including gas stoves, of which the governor has one in her governor's mansion. You see, it's okay for me to have one. It's okay for me and my chefs that prepare my dinners, and they use gas stoves to prepare my dinners. But for you, you shall have none of that. You must use electric ranges, and you must pay your electric bill that we might shut off, with rolling blackouts at some point anyway, because, we're wanting to save the environment. So you just won't get to eat. You have those cans of, cold dog food. You can open up and eat those. But me and my governor's mansion, the governor of New York, I will have a gas stove in my kitchen that my chefs will prepare my food on. Over at Zero Hedge, New York's slated to become the first state to ban natural gas stoves, having solved all other problems in New York, including a decrepit, expensive, and dangerous subway in the city, astronomical taxes, and surging crime. Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul is now set to make her state the first to ban natural gas stoves. And so amazing that she's leading the way. And according to the New York Post, residents are furious. The state's latest budget deal mandates that all new buildings under 7 stories be fully electric by 2026, with larger structures following 3 years later. The Post reported over the weekend, after all, what would new rules be if they weren't appended to a massive $229 billion spending deal? Spending, of course, it's the American way. Meanwhile, the legislation isn't going over quite as well with residents. One resident of Sutton Place told the Post, "Kathy should mind her own business and get out of our kitchens." Absolutely. It says, meanwhile, a poll conducted at Siena back in February found that only 39% of registered voters supported banning all new fossil fuel equipment for new homes by 2025 and all construction by 2029. Joseph Hogan, vice president of building services at the Associated Contractors of New York, told the Post, "People are apt to make choices of whether they are located in New York State or somewhere else, and this will provide further strain on the market until there's certainty about the availability in the grid as we move forward, so that's real concern." People don't want to live in your state. If you're going to run it like a communist state, if you're going to mandate how people can cook their food, for crying out loud, you're a communist. You're a busybody. You're a busybody Karen, and Americans love to tar and feather people like that. We have a history of doing that. You're going to get into my kitchen and you're going to tell me how I cook my food? Oh, no. Off with your head. Where's the tar and feathers? Because we're not going to be dictated to on stupid, simple things like this. I mean, there's only so far you can push people. We're not going to give up our guns. You think we're going to give up our gas ranges? We'll simply move out of your state, as is the case with so many people right now. New York, California, these blue states that are just beside themselves with coming up new dictates of how Americans should live their lives. Well, then we're just going to leave. We're just going to leave. Bye. Goodbye. There are other places, there are other seats on the Titanic that I can move to. I can switch seats on the Hindenburg. It's okay. The crash is not here yet. It's coming, but it's not here yet. And of course, not unlike what we experienced during COVID, it's a case of do as I say, not as I do. It had previously has been reported that Hochul has used gas stoves in her executive mansion in Albany and her home in Buffalo. Again, it's fine for me, but not for thee. Every real chef in the world knows that you get a better product when cooking with gas stoves. Have you ever seen an episode of Iron Chef America? Do they cook with gas stoves? Yes, they cook with gas stoves. Do they cook with electric stoves? No, because everyone knows that you make a better product with a gas stove. Defending the ban, Hochul said last week, everyone knows we've seen the effects of climate change, the storms, the hurricanes coming to New York, record snow amounts. Yes, the hurricanes and the record snow amounts are all because of your dastardly and evil gas stoves. Our budget prioritizes national leading climate action that meets this moment with ambition and the commitment it demands. So she's saying that if I can get you to get rid of all of your gas stoves, that'll be good enough because then I can keep mine and I can still cook with mine because just one in the state or two in the state is not going to be a big deal. But if I can get rid of all of your gas stoves, we'll have solved climate change and I can keep mine. One Upper East Side resident retorted, I'm very much against the change. I don't see the benefit. Electric stoves don't cook as well. Her 70-year-old neighbor, Claire Gonzo, agreed, telling the Post, I have electric in Florida and I hate it. You can't control it. I want a new stove. I don't like it. I like gas because you can control it and everything cooks good. We are quickly learning as a country, it doesn't matter what you like. It doesn't matter what you want. We will tell you what you will like, and we will tell you what you will want. Speaking of that, an article came out this week, just the other day, about commercial farms. Let's take a look at that. Over at farmprogress.com, a bill that would kill large-scale livestock farms. Legislation would ban concentrated animal feeding operations by 2041. Any bill sponsored by Senators Cory Booker, Elizabeth Warren, and Bernie Sanders is bad news for the farm community. I would say that's bad news for any community, but, that's just me. And the 118th Congress Senate Bill 271 gives an idea of what agriculture faces in the future. The bill places a moratorium on building concentrated animal feeding operations and would close down those currently in operation. In fact, the bill says no large CAFO may continue to operate as a large CAFO after January 1st, 2041. Of course, the bill pays you to go out of business. In fact, not later than 180 days after the date of enactment of this act, the Secretary shall carry out a program to provide grants to eligible entities to permanently transition from operating an AFO to carrying out other activities on the properties of which the AFO is located. We're going to take your cattle farm and we're going to transition that into a beetle farm because that way you can get your insect protein. As you can see, there's a school of thought that wants to shut down all operating CAFOs for beef, dairy, hogs, horses, sheep, turkey, chickens, and ducks. I guess you can raise goats because goats are not mentioned. Yay for goats, I guess. As you can see, the environmentalists and their ilk in Congress are trying to overturn any number of court decisions, which is clearly the bill's goal. The attorneys are not left out in this proposed legislation. There is a section in the bill for attorneys' fees, of course there is, for plaintiffs, not defendants. The court shall award a reasonable attorney's fee as part of the cost to a prevailing plaintiff in a civil action. That's right, we got to make sure the lawyers get paid, especially on our side. Of course, we all know that Senator Booker is a vegan. All vegans let you know within 5 minutes of meeting them that they are vegans. This is a 35-page bill, and I would not waste my time worrying about it, but those in agriculture should be aware that these people in power who are after their CAFOs. Now, my personal opinion here is that I don't like these large-scale operations. I don't think they produce a very good product, but they do produce a product that most of Americans enjoy. If you're going to go through a drive-thru and get your double cheeseburger, it's probably produced at a place like this. If you're going to go into a place and get your, most of your chicken products, or if you're going to go to your Chick-fil-A, you're getting a product that was probably made in a place like this. So it has a place. I don't usually like that sort of thing. I like growing my food myself. But, listen, I'm not immune to going to the grocery store at times and getting things I need. But for the most part, most of my meat consumption is produced on the farm or on someone else's farm that I know of, and then I bring that on site. My point being is, again, this is all about control. There are people out there who don't like the way you live. They think it's harmful to the environment. They've been claiming climate change for the last 50 years, only every 10 years claiming that we only have 10 years left before we all die in some crazy, crisis of the climate. And yet we're still here 50, 60, 70 years later. So what this really comes down to is people wanting to control your life, letting you not being able to determine how you heat your home, how you cook your food, what animals you have, what animals you can eat. That's the world we live in today. And it's only getting worse. When will the line be crossed before we get out the tar and the feathers? Okay, guys, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts. All right, guys, see you next time in the homestead. Bye. This is Grandma. Grandma survived the Great Depression. She survived the Great Depression because her supply chain was local and she knew how to do stuff. Grandma was smart. Grandma told us to make do with what you got. She also said, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Homesteading is all about self-reliance and declaring ourselves to be independent from the system. We grow our own food, we raise our own animals, and doing these things helps safeguard our families from the unpredictable world that surrounds us. But what about banking? I love being my own power company, but what about being my own bank? Right now, our country is over $30 trillion in debt and rising. The Fed keeps printing money, and the Congress won't stop spending money. Staying attached to the modern banking system and their investment vehicles is like putting all of your eggs in one very, very fragile basket. On one side, you have the threat of inflation and your savings value floating away, and the other side is a possible deflationary stock market collapse, just like what happened in the 1930s. Genesis Gold Group is like a basket holding eggs, and these eggs are impossible to break. History shows us that all paper investments have and will return to their intrinsic value eventually, zero. But gold, silver, and other precious metals have never, ever been worthless. In every collapse throughout history, people have turned back to precious metals to find monetary value. If you have a 401k, an IRA, or a savings account where you're literally watching the purchasing power inflate away, give Genesis Gold Group a call right now, today, this instant. They can develop a strategy for you in the days ahead. I can tell you how I raise sheep, I can tell you how I raise chickens, or the best way to grow tomatoes, or how to hook up a solar panel. But Genesis Gold Group is your best shot at safeguarding your hard-earned savings and investments during this increasingly turbulent time in history. The link and phone number is in the description below, or visit their website at genesisgoldgroup.com. And be sure to say you heard about them from An American Homestead. Hey guys, did you know you can become a patron of An American Homestead? They get access to private videos, and we send them gifts from the homestead that we make here on the homestead. And we also enter our patrons into special giveaways that are only available to them. And before you go, please check out these other great videos. Go ahead, click. I'll wait.